Thanks so much, Ina. Thank you for inviting me. It's really good to see you all. It'll be great to see some of you during the session, either in person or online. And I know that in terms of advocacy and strategy, you have that very much in hand already. So I'm just here to make some more general comments about engaging from the civil society perspective, just to build on what some of Antonio said. The council can be quite tricky to follow, even aside from the technicalities. So I'll just set out a few other aspects which it might be useful for you to be aware of. So it has become a lot easier to participate remotely in council sessions through video statements, through watching online. And this comes with a lot of benefits, also some challenges. I mean, of course, it means that we can follow the council, engage in it, send our video statements from wherever we are in the world. And this opens up the council hugely to those who are most affected by the issues it discusses. It's allowed for broader participation, really to the benefit of the council. It's really important that people can engage, can participate from wherever they are. But following remotely it's remote. It feels a bit more remote. And we can engage to a certain extent remotely, but maybe not to the full potential of what's possible. It can be a little bit harder to build connections, to advocate for our positions. So on practicalities, Antonio mentioned some key websites. Just have a look through them all. There's often very useful information there on how civil society can engage, on whether or not you got a speaking slot. The speaking lists will be posted there, what exact times the debates will be. I'll also flag the UN TV website where you can watch the debates. So you can watch them live. They're also available after the debate's finished. And just finally on the website, it's very important if you registered for a speaking slot virtually or if you'll be in here in person, the Indico website for registering for the council session in general. So that's where you register for the session. And you can't deliver a video statement or access the building without registering on Indico first. And we'll share the link in the chat there. On registering for a statement slot itself, I mean, I can only really echo what Antonio suggested about registering as soon as possible for the slot. So only 10 NGOs can speak in the ID. It's more in the general debate. You're less likely to get a speaking slot in the ID. But either way, definitely to be recommended to register as soon as the platform opens if you can. And I think just in terms of substance, for the interactive dialogue, if you're speaking there, just be sure your statement relates in some way to the report of the independent expert, to the substantive report, to the 2 country visits. I think if you're speaking in the general debate, it can be, of course, be a little bit more general. The time limits are very strict, whether in person or remote. And just to flag as well, because I feel like colleagues get caught out by this quite a lot, we have to upload our statements the day before the debate. That's whether you're in person or remote. You upload the transcripts and you upload the video if you're sending in a video. So that will be, at the moment, 11th of September for the ID with the independent expert. And for remote participation in the debate, I can only advise to upload your video as soon as possible, as early as possible, just in case there are any last minute hiccups. But if you're here in person, it's very easy to make the most of your time here. I think there are a few broad strands of work or of event that happens in the Palais during the session. Antonio's outlined some of them, just completely outside from any events or meetings that may happen outside the building, like meetings you have with OHCHR, with partners. So there's the plenary session in room 20, and this is where the council itself sits. It's where the independent expert will present her report. It's this huge round room, member states in the innermost rows, other states behind them, some space for civil society at the back and to the side. So if you're delivering a statement in person, here is where you'll deliver it. And our colleagues in the Secretariat will guide you through that. And if you're delivering a video statement, it will be shown here in the council room. It's pretty formal. The way the debates work is that essentially just everyone sets out their positions in a pre-written statement. There's not much room for improvisation. And downstairs in the Palais, there's another set of rooms where the side events and the resolution negotiations take place. So you might be organizing a side event, or just keep an eye out on the sched for side events you might want to attend. Or if you're following a specific resolution, that's where you'll see what room the negotiations are happening in. It'll be somewhere around there. I don't think there's a specific resolution on the rights of older people being negotiated this session, but there will be other interesting ones that you might want to engage in. And then the serpentine bar of the Palais des Nations is I think, to be honest, where a lot of the most interesting and useful elements of the session actually happens. And this is where a lot of the advocacy takes place. So it's always quite dynamic when the council's on. There'll be a lot of people there interested in the same issues. It's a really good opportunity to build and develop partnerships, to meet people face to face you might usually only see on screen. If you're setting up advocacy meetings with diplomats, that's where they'll usually take place in the Serpentine Bar. So I know that you will have your advocacy strategy. So I'd just say on that, have your elevator pitch ready for the diplomats to whom you want to speak. Keep things quite brief and have very clear asks. Which brings me to probably the main challenge of engaging in this particular session. It's a really, really, really busy one. There are some very high profile country resolutions. There are quite a few high profile thematic resolutions, and diplomats and partners are very busy. Everything's happening in different places around the Palais. Everything happens at the last minute. Schedules are constantly shifting and changing. So if you're just setting up meetings, just be prepared for some flexibility. Try to get WhatsApp numbers of the people you're meeting if you can, so that you can find them more easily in the Serpentine. That's always like the biggest challenge, actually finding the people you're trying to meet with. Be prepared for the security to get into the Palais to take a changeable amount of time. I think it's a bit like going to the airport. If you allow loads of time, you'll just breeze through. If you allow not much time, you'll inevitably be stuck behind huge queues and it will take hours and you'll be late for everything. So just bed that a bit into your schedule to actually access the building. Sometimes you can go through with just the Indico badge on your phone, which you'll get when you register on Indico. Sometimes you'll have to stand in a different queue. It kind of changes by the day. So just bear that in mind too. But if you're coming in person, yeah, my main advice would just be make the most of it, meet everyone you can, just be very aware that meetings will be short, be flexible, will happen all over the place. And yeah, have a good time. And I think that's it from me on my sort of very quick fire how to engage in the Human Rights Council.